A man appeared at my doorstep, asserting that he is the father of my children. The result was unexpected. Seated at my desk, I savored a mid-morning coffee delivered by my assistant, albeit sweetened with artificial sugar. I boldly considered making the switch to black tea instead. Contemplating a pressing copyright dilemma, I found myself frustrated by the federal government's sluggishness in releasing crucial sensitive material as was their custom. They moved at a languid pace, rendering the completion of tasks a formidable challenge. Federal employees displayed a remarkable lack of competence, sidestepping accountability in the absence of explicit directives. I found myself pondering the number of individuals who might have touched a letter before any decisive action was set in motion that I in a state of paralysis. I found myself unable to transition to my next endeavor, with the looming threat of financial ruin should any items meet their untimely end. The emergence of liberal concerns has intricately woven complexity into straightforward issues, even transforming job titles in the process. I found myself feeling far too mature for this frivolity. "A young lady is here to see you," Ava Harper announced as she stepped into my office. She remained tight-lipped about her identity, yet offered me this photograph instead. As I gazed upon the photograph, a sense of dread enveloped me. Offspring of a bovine, I mused. What prompts this moment? It was a photograph of Sharon, my former partner, and me on our wedding day captured 18 years ago. It brought back memories of anguish, betrayal, and sorrow. It was widely believed that I had come back to nurse my wounds, and they were correct in their assumption. In those days, the concepts of money and power eluded me, yet I have transformed since then. "Inquire whether she goes by Susan or Carter," I instructed, passing Jackie a USB drive along with a Ziploc bag. "If she is, please share the video regarding this matter with her. If she desires a copy, provide her with all that she needs and ensure the original is returned to me. Return later, and I shall address your inquiries." If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to our channel for more exciting content. Your support means the world to us, and by subscribing, you'll never miss an update. Join our community and be part of the conversation. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. We love hearing from you. At the age of 42, I fully embraced the life of a bachelor. The brief union I shared with Victoria Matthews shattered my faith in others. In that moment, individuals found themselves in a struggle to attain it, a challenge that proved to be quite formidable. I towered at 6 feet 4 inches, my waist measuring a solid 38 inches with a weight of 200 pounds. After a long day at work, I dedicated 2 hours to the gym, immersing myself in the rhythm of exercise. My hair, a rich blend of brown and black, bore the subtle signs of gray, yet I still managed to capture attention. I engaged in a handful of casual relationships, yet the concepts of marriage and love never resonated with me. Approximately an hour later, Jackie made her entrance, leaving the door ajar behind her. She articulated that the young lady was still brimming with inquiries. She settled into her seat, her expression grave, signaling that she would not depart until she had the answers she sought. Her emerald eyes fixed on me. She lingered in silence, anticipating my words. "Are you aware of which one it was?" "Sandra," she responded. "Who is she, and what has left her in such a state of disbelief?" She wept, exclaiming, "We have been deceived throughout our entire existence. If my heart is true, he too was deceived." Sandra is part of a duo of identical twins. The footage you witnessed captured her mother's final words to me prior to our initial divorce hearing, a mere 7 months before the twins made their entrance into the world. It came to my attention through friends that she was expecting, a detail I had not been privy to. The remaining entries on the stick elaborate on the consequences of reaching out to them. Her father, at the time affiliated with the CIA, orchestrated my dismissal from the FBI through unfounded accusations, driven by his animosity towards me. The documents suggest that my life is at stake should I choose to meddle with their affairs. He was a formidable and menacing figure. She left me for my former best friend, with whom she had been entangled in an affair for months. To the best of my knowledge, he is their biological father. How did she discover my whereabouts, and what is her intention? Sandra stumbled upon a forgotten photograph in the attic, one that bore your name. Intrigued, she searched for you online and soon made the connection. She unearthed the original marriage certificate along with the divorce papers. She located you by navigating through Facebook and various online searches. She embarked on a quest to discover a bone marrow match for her twin sister, whose time was slipping away. What draws you to me? I am not their father. It simply doesn't add up, I responded. Her mother had been with her father for months before I ever met her. Her father made certain of that. Sandra harbored a suspicion and persuaded the doctors to conduct a DNA test alongside the bone marrow examination. Mr. Press is not their biological father. What are your thoughts on this? Jackie's face blossomed into a radiant smile, while tears welled up in my eyes. If Sandra's words held truth, it signified that my former partner had deceived me throughout all those years. I found myself pondering the possibility of being their father. The instant I laid eyes on her, I knew she was connected to you, Jackie remarked, rising to her feet. Her gaze speaks volumes, unmistakably conveying her thoughts. Are you prepared for what might be the most astonishing revelation in years, Jackie? Kindly forward the information on the stick to my publishers. Instruct them to publish it in a manner that ensures my identity remains concealed, and to keep my pen name confidential, as my safety may still be compromised. Emphasize the urgency of making this information public without delay. Next, seek out an individual who can conduct a rapid DNA test and arrange a meeting. Should I be their father, I seek evidence before I face their mother. If this is indeed the case, I require a litigation attorney to advocate for my parental rights. Free up my agenda. I must head to Susan's hospital immediately, I declared. Now I must seek out Sandra. Sandra, please step in and share a bit about yourself, Jackie requested. Sandra entered the room, and the instant my eyes fell upon her, I understood. She resembled my younger sister at the age of 16. Tears welled in my eyes, a wave of emotion crashing over me. Both Sandra and I found ourselves in tears. Jackie snapped a few photos with her phone to immortalize this transformative moment before she quietly stepped away, leaving us in solitude. Sandra and you are scheduled for a blood test at 1 o'clock. They assured me it would be a quick turnaround, and I put it on the corporate card. Jackie remarked upon her return, I have also made arrangements for you to meet your sister Olivia Reed at Cuntles at 3, and I have reserved a private table for your gathering. Sandra must witness our endeavors. Olivia Reed will ensure that her children are well cared for. She is aware that you possess significant family news. I remained rooted in place, a swirl of emotions coursing through me, as I observed Sandra approaching. Countless questions swirled in my mind that I embraced her firmly as Jackie shut the door behind us. It was difficult to comprehend the reality that I could soon become a father. Sandra appeared to share the sentiment, quivering as we exited my office. We endeavored to maintain a sense of levity, cautiously navigating our way through the complexities of it all. Once we had made arrangements for the clinic to send the report via email, we set out for a leisurely late lunch. I discovered that Sandra had played truant, embarking on a long drive that led her to pause for rest at a station. Anger surged within me at her reckless decision, yet I bit my tongue, understanding that I might be responding like an overly cautious father. It brought to mind a memory of something I might have done at her age. Upon our arrival at Cuntles, my gaze fell upon Barb's car. While I understand we're here to see your sister, I'm curious as to why Jackie arranged this without consulting you beforehand. Sandra inquired. Prepare to witness what Jackie and I experienced when we first encountered you, I responded. This will elucidate our conviction that you and Susan are my daughters, and it will convey the astonishment I felt when the test results returned positive. May I refer to you as Dad? Sandra inquired. A soft chuckle escaped my lips, accompanied by a warm smile. I would absolutely cherish that. Cuntles was a family establishment, a notch above Red Lobster, renowned for its exceptional reputation. With a warm smile, the owner and hostess guided us to our secluded booth without delay. A bottle of champagne and some extra tissues were ordered by me. With Olivia Reed turned away from us, I motioned for Sandra to hold on as I made my way closer. Greetings, dear sister. I expressed my gratitude for our meeting. Olivia Reed glanced upward and remarked, You seem joyful. What's happening? Olivia Reed, please stand up. There's someone I'd like you to meet, I said as Sandra drew near. This is the daughter of Sharon, named Sandra. Olivia Reed pivoted, her gaze fixed, as if she beheld a reflection of her younger self. They shared striking similarities: cascading brunette locks, elegantly defined cheekbones, petite ears, soft blue eyes, and inviting smiles that radiated warmth. "Oh my goodness," Barb exclaimed. "Paul, a word of caution would have been appreciated. This is truly astonishing. For how long have you been aware of her existence?" "About 5 hours," Sandra said, her voice thick with emotion. "I caught him off guard at his office. Jackie and her father recognized it at once. In your presence." Clarity unfolds. The server returned, bearing tissues, and grasped the necessity of our privacy. With tears in her eyes, Olivia Reed conveyed that 3 additional guests would be joining us, prompting the hostess to relocate us to a more spacious table. Olivia Reed reached out to her husband, urging him to join us, while also alerting our parents to hurry over, deeming it a family emergency. When her mother inquired about her distress, Olivia Reed simply replied that she was unable to articulate her feelings. Emotions ran high for all of us. Jackie sent me a message revealing that the publisher had unveiled the information, and it was set to air on the 6 o'clock news. Just as we settled into a serene moment following our first glass of champagne, Barb's husband and my parents made their entrance. My father's booming laughter echoed, filling the room with warmth. This situation better have a compelling justification. Olivia Reed and I rose to welcome them. "Mom, Dad, David King, allow me to present Sharon's daughter, Carter," Olivia Reed declared with pride. My mother immediately saw the likeness and beamed with pride. At long last, she embraced the granddaughter she had always dreamed of having. My father stood there, utterly astonished, rendered momentarily without words at last. He broke the silence, uttering, "I see it, yet it's difficult to accept." My mother sat beside Sandra, her grip firm around her hand, overwhelmed by emotion and rendered speechless. My father procured 2 additional bottles of champagne, his pride unmistakable. Once our glasses were replenished, I rose to my feet, mine in hand. "I need to explain," I said, as Sandra began recording with my phone. I recounted the story of our meeting and the events that unfolded that day. My father then rose to his feet. "Sandra, there's no need for a DNA test to validate what is already clear to us. We are delighted to have you join our family in the near future. You will have the pleasure of meeting 2 more aunts. We ask that you forever hold this family close to your heart as your true home." Sandra grasped the phone and began to speak. "My journey led me here in pursuit of the truth, unaware of the revelations that awaited me. Today has transformed everything for my father and me. Until this moment, we remained unaware. Encountering Aunt Barb revealed to me the essence of unconditional love. My twin sister Susan is bound to share the same sentiment." I surveyed the table, observing the swell of emotions that enveloped everyone around me. Even my father, a man who rarely shed a tear, found his eyes glistening with emotion. My mother raised 2 fingers, her cries growing more intense. I preserved the heartfelt tears of joy from everyone just before I ceased the recording. Sandra included her information and that of her sister in my contacts and sent a text to Susan, revealing the video she had shared. Sandra's message conveyed, "If our assumptions hold, the DNA test will provide the confirmation we seek. Tune in to the evening news at 6. Dearest, your other half." My mother inquired whether she remained in a state of disbelief. Sandra unveiled her collection of photographs featuring Susan and herself. My mother insisted on having copies for her laptop, showcasing them on the full screen for everyone to behold. Sandra switched off her phone and tucked it away in her purse, leaving me with the unsettling realization that no one had any idea of her whereabouts. The shrill sound of my phone pierced the silence. It was indeed Susan. I rose and made my way to respond to it. My father caught sight of the tears welling in my eyes and regarded me with a look of inquiry. Sandra silently formed the words, "It's my sister." My father nodded, a look of comprehension crossing his face. I responded to the summons. "Greetings, I am Susan." Upon watching the video, she felt compelled to make the call. "Mother will not return until at least 7. As she is making a stop at the police station to gather news regarding Sandra. I find myself feigning ignorance. Earlier, The police paid a visit and left behind their card. Do you have any suggestions for my next steps? Encourage him to tune in to the 6 o'clock news and take note of the revelations concerning me. Inform him that a conversation can take place when your parents are not present, and reveal the video to him. Please provide him with my number and request that he sends a text before making a call. He will come to comprehend after viewing the news, I responded. Once we obtain the DNA evidence, Sandra and I may gather the entire family. Could you clarify what you mean? Susan inquired. Once you elucidate Sandra's efforts on your behalf, the family will begin to share the news far and wide. I cannot predict the number of attendees. Yet I conveyed that those who are able will indeed show up. What is the reason behind this? She inquired. Family, I declared. Within the Patterson family, the bonds of blood run deeper than any other ties. If I don't fit the bill, perhaps another will. Is it really that simple? Susan inquired, her voice laced with uncertainty. Sandra, what brings you to this moment? My father inquired. I navigated the roads in my trusty 1994 Voyager van. She chuckled. It's just a notch above a rent-a-wreck. It resides in the parking lot belonging to my father. My dear son, please ensure you drive that van to my dealership first thing in the morning. She won't be returning in that vehicle. It's a miracle she made it here, my dad declared with conviction. At her age, you contribute as much wisdom as she does. She possesses an unwavering resolve. What do you intend to offer her? I inquired. With a wink and a smile, he suggested that she could choose one herself. If given the option, I would select a 4x4. I adore the great outdoors, Sandra remarked. My father beamed with delight. For our shared passion for the great outdoors unites us all. When the weather permitted, we engaged in fishing, camping, or hunting. He began to reminisce about the summer when I learned to waterski barefoot, weaving tales as if he were holding court. My parents were adamant that Sandra should spend the night with them, convinced it would appear inappropriate for us to be alone together. Following dinner, Father escorted them to her car and then took it back home. My mother was overjoyed, eagerly envisioning all the ways she would pamper her new granddaughter. Father found himself waiting until the clock struck 1 a.m. for their return. At approximately 10 p.m., I received a call from the police investigator. He spent 2 hours David Kingsley conducting a background check on me. The air was thick with inquiries as the media clamored for details regarding the information I had unveiled. We engaged in a thoughtful discussion about the situation and its associated challenges. The sight of 3 generations captured in the video provided clarity to numerous questions that had lingered in his mind. I informed him that we were expediting the DNA tests to validate our connection, and that Sandra was with my parents. Upon confirmation, we would revisit the possibility of my being a suitable match for Susan. I requested that he grant us a little more time and assured him that I would keep him informed of our advancements. Susan later informed me that he had relayed our conversation to her. Once more, I found myself face to face with my past. Yet this time, I viewed it through a fresh lens. This time, I would stand firm against the formidable influence and wealth of my ex-wife's family. I would leverage the media, the judicial system, and the power of truth to serve my interests. Equipped with the necessary resources, undeniable proof, and an ever-deepening resolve, I stood ready that I sought not revenge, but rather justice, illuminated by the light of truth. I stood poised to confront 4 individuals and the might of the federal government. The following morning found me in my office, David Kingsley ensuring that any alterations to the schedule would have minimal impact on my plans, while also organizing tasks for Jackie during my absence. Jackie monitored the email accounts with the vigilance of a concerned guardian, probing me about my day and drawing out every detail she could uncover. Honestly, I could gaze at Ava Harper forever. In her youth, she likely embodied the ideal of every teenage boy's fantasy. Her naturally styled brown hair framed her delicate features, while her piercing emerald green eyes and full lips remained utterly captivating. As a solitary man, I frequently found myself captivated by her presence. Yet I felt a sense of relief that she remained oblivious to my gaze. At last, she held the DNA test results in her hands, the paper crinkling softly as she printed them out. With a burst of excitement, she declared, "It's confirmed. You are indeed her father." Without hesitation, Jackie reached out to the lab, urging them to forward the information to Susan's specialist. Simultaneously, she embarked on a quest to find the most formidable litigation lawyer in New York. Having carefully evaluated several options, she chose the finest and scheduled a Skype conversation. The attorney consented to operate on a percentage basis, assured that the DNA evidence made the case a foregone conclusion. We would pursue action against my ex-wife, her husband, and her parents for the infringement of my parental rights. The oppressive court order imposed upon me shall be overturned, revealing the intentionality behind their actions. The alleged contract on my life, whether real or not, would reveal their efforts to instill fear and exert dominance. The attorney recognized the promise of a substantial case, even prior to engaging the government, that I instructed Jackie to dispatch a gray, dust-laden box from the safe to my new attorney. It held undeniable evidence that Sharon's father had sought to ruin both my career and my marriage. Years had been spent gathering this evidence across multiple tiers of government. In due course, I discovered that the police officer had unveiled the video, transforming the narrative into one of a daughter on the run, seeking her biological father to rescue her sister's life, igniting a media storm. "Mom, it's official," I declared into the phone. "I'm a father now, twice over. Thank God. Prepare to depart tomorrow at 7 a.m. from the car lot. I'll share the news. Have you reached out to your daughters?" Mom inquired that we found ourselves on the open road, steering a well-packed 2-year-old Ford Explorer toward Oswego, New York. Sandra and I took the lead, guiding my parents aboard the tour bus, with a procession of 33 other vehicles trailing behind us. As the tribe journeyed forth, my phone suddenly chimed with a call. Sandra picked up the call and activated the speakerphone. "You're being tracked by CNN," Susan remarked after our initial pleasantries. A tour bus stood nearby, its sign boldly declaring that the Carlsons were on their way. 1 out of 141 ought to yield a match. Indeed, we possess the DNA test confirming he is our father. "And by the way, I just got a new 2-year-old Ford Explorer," Sandra replied. "Dad mentioned that if it were confirmed, many family members would gather, but I never anticipated this," Susan shared. "It's instilled in me a newfound hope I never envisioned. I can't recall ever feeling this way before." Dad's family shared the news, and soon, a multitude of relatives emerged from the shadows. This morning, I encountered a plethora of kin, and I suspect it will require several introductions to commit their names to memory. I encountered first, second, and even third cousins. "My pride swells so much that I wish to adopt the last name Carlson," Sandra expressed. "I had no idea that families such as these were a reality." Overcome by a wave of emotions, I found myself teetering on the edge of the road. It was at that moment I resolved to weave this extraordinary experience into the fabric of my next book. As my daughters continued to share their thoughts on Sandra's experiences, Susan interjected, expressing that it was time for her to leave. Just then, her mother stepped into the room. "Father, are you well?" Sandra inquired with a hint of worry. "I witnessed you become quite emotional. What do you anticipate my feelings to be?" "It has come to my attention that I have 2 daughters, brought up by my ex-wife and a former friend, all unbeknownst to me. One bursts with energy and vitality. The other teeters on the brink of death. One possesses such strength and independence that she effortlessly moves mountains, much like I would. And she wants to take my name," I said, a swell of pride rising within me. Sandra, visibly moved, responded with deep emotion that my thoughts were consumed by the urgency of saving my sister's life, leaving little room for consideration of how it would affect you. I realize now that I was not the ideal match, burdened as I am by a flawed gene passed down from our mother. The emotional turmoil I've instigated will linger for days. Can you find it in your heart to forgive me? For what exactly? For entering my life? For turning everything on its head? No, that's the essence of living. You've bestowed upon everyone another soul to cherish. You've granted me the opportunity to embrace fatherhood," I uttered, my voice trembling with emotion. "Your grandparents hold you in the highest regard. My mother beams with pride. To witness her visage reflected in you holds immeasurable significance. By the mere twist of fate, you and your sister have secured your places as her cherished favorites. She has been indulging us We ventured out for some shopping, and for every outfit she purchased for me, she ensured that Sue received one as well. She chuckled, declaring that she had a lifetime of indulgence to make up for. That is, mother.it will be utterly impossible to separate her from your life. I understand. I've made the attempt, I replied. Barb and my sisters will undoubtedly boast about this for weeks to come in the end. This tale will transform into a family legend, recounted for generations to come. We discovered that the moment Sharon caught sight of the live news feed announcing our arrival, she was overtaken by intense panic attacks. The defenses she had David Kingsley constructed were beginning to fall apart. Susan, brimming with vitality and determination, faced her the moment she silenced her phone. Mom, why did you conceal the truth about our real dad? Susan inquired. When silence met her question, she pressed on with greater intensity. You concealed the truth from us, taking it upon yourself to dictate our fates. What authority did you believe you possessed to assume such power? Even Father was kept in the dark. Had Sandra not uncovered the reality and pursued the truth, would you have allowed my demise? Sharon remained silent, never anticipating that the truth would eventually surface from the very beginning. Her father had harbored a deep-seated animosity towards Paul, going to great lengths to push him out of their lives. Just then, as if fate intervened, Susan's doctor entered the room, bearing news that would change everything. We had obtained DNA from an unknown man, revealing that he was indeed Susan's biological father. He is set to arrive for testing, and there's a promising possibility that he could be a bone marrow match. He is expected to be here tomorrow afternoon, and for his safety, he will be accompanied by security, as the doctor mentioned before departing. Mom, my biological father is coming along with 140 others, just in case he doesn't match. He wants to give me a fighting chance, Susan stated. He's risking his life to help me. Why? Sharon asked. To him and his family. The bonds of blood run deeper than any other connection. Despite being a stranger to them, she asserted her place within the family, emphasizing that family always takes precedence. You see, we bear a striking resemblance to our biological father's mother. View this video. It confirms all that needs to be known. Sharon witnessed the moment my family met Sandra. There was absolutely no uncertainty. 3 generations bore the same visage. She could no longer evade the undeniable reality. Her daughters held the evidence, and the consequences of her and her husband's choices were now unraveling before them. At that moment, a man materialized at the threshold of Susan's room, inquiring about Sharon. Upon revealing her identity as Sharon Press, he presented her with a substantial legal envelope, declaring, "You have been served." Overwhelmed, Sharon collapsed to her knees, tears streaming down her face. Susan, seething with anger, felt no compassion. Mom, why did Grandpa put a contract on my bio-dad's life? She inquired, fully aware that an answer was unlikely. Richard Anderson had just exited a corporate meeting. As he strolled down the corridor, he was unexpectedly handed legal papers. Taking a seat in the reception area, he began to peruse the documents. The initial paper was a lawsuit directed at him and his wife, accusing them of denying Paul his rightful status as the father of his daughters. The second accusation was directed at his in-laws and himself, alleging a conspiracy to dismantle Paul's marriage and career. It was evident that Paul was driven by a desire for retribution, insisting on sole custody of his daughters. He contended that had Sandra not discovered him, he would have remained oblivious to their existence. That he asserted a sense of moral abandonment, implying that Sharon and Arnold might have allowed Susan to perish to safeguard their secrets, a notion that would be challenging to refute in court due to the extensive media attention. Arnold recalled the days when he and Paul shared a university dorm and played football together. Both had vied for Sharon's affection, yet it was Paul who ultimately captured her heart. Arnold had once stood proudly as the best man at their wedding. Yet, Sharon's father harbored disapproval of Paul, largely because of his background. With persuasive words, he swayed Arnold to seek out Sharon, and Arnold, swayed by loyalty, acquiesced under the shadow of her father's influence. Paul found himself immersed in a whirlwind of FBI assignments, which inadvertently left Sharon and Arnold to their own devices. In the quiet moments that followed, a bond blossomed between Sharon and Arnold, transforming into a romance while Paul was deep undercover for 2 long months. Unbeknownst to them, her father had captured their secret on tape, ready to unveil the truth when Paul returned home. Sharon, oblivious to the life growing within her, attributed her missed periods to the weight of stress. Her father, filled with delight, witnessed Paul hastily file for divorce. When the twins made their entrance into the world, their paternity was clear, yet her father had already orchestrated Paul's dismissal through deceitful accusations. For 4 long years, Paul fought to restore his reputation, a battle that forced him to leave the area in shame. In the meantime, Sharon and Arnold built a life together, welcoming 2 sons into the world. The unedited tapes held the key to revealing the conspiracy that linked Sharon's father and Arnold in their scheme to dismantle the marriage. Arnold found himself pondering how Sharon would respond when the truth eventually surfaced. Sandra, the group, and I reached our last destination of the evening around 9, weary after a grueling 14 hours on the road. We placed an order for a light meal to be delivered to our rooms and soon succumbed to sleep, only to be stirred by the 5 a.m. wake-up call. Sandra and I departed at dawn, driven by the urgency of my clandestine meeting with a police officer and an FBI representative. Meanwhile, the rest of our party set off at 7 for the lengthy 6-hour journey. Sandra kindly dropped me off at the Oswego Police Department, where I was greeted by Detective Peter Rogers and FBI Agent Chad Giraudoux. Our conversation lingered on the inquiries posed by my former father-in-law for more than an hour and a half. I shared my lawyer's contact details and entrusted a USB stick containing all my evidence. Subsequently, I found myself under official protection until my departure from town. Accompanied by a security escort, I made my way to the hospital for a blood draw to determine if I might be a suitable bone marrow match. As I neared Susan's private room, I caught the sound of Sandra and Susan engaged in conversation. The hospital staff recognized me by my pen name, and I took a moment to sign a book for one of the nurses. I entered Susan's room. "Dad?" Sandra exclaimed, her voice tinged with surprise. "I didn't expect you so soon." "Susan, allow me to introduce you to our father, Armstrong." Susan appeared delicate, her skin sagging, and her visage revealing the proximity of life's conclusion. Yet, in spite of this, her smile radiated warmth, and her eyes sparkled with an enduring hope. "Susan, they are hurrying through the test. It ought to be completed in half an hour." Meanwhile, the rest of the family is settling into their hotels. My parents are currently undergoing their bone marrow extraction and will be with you shortly. Should there be multiple matches, the doctor intends to perform a simultaneous double transplant in both arms, I stated, striving to maintain my composure. Susan, however, succumbed to her emotions and wept as I perched on the edge of her bed, enveloping her in my embrace until the storm within her subsided. Sandra immortalized the moment, a snapshot of our shared tears, joy mingling with relief. In that instant, she radiated pride, and justly so did I became acutely aware of all she had accomplished, and a wave of emotion washed over me as I witnessed my 2 daughters together for the first time. "Grandma, Grandpa, come in and meet my sister," Sandra announced. The 5 of us engaged in conversation for more than an hour until Susan's doctor entered, a smile brightening his face. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to our channel for more exciting content. Your support means the world to us, and by subscribing, you'll never miss an update. Join our community and be part of the conversation. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. We love hearing from you. My mother and I were ideal companions for Susan. Dr. Proctor inquired if we were prepared to be admitted for surgery at 6 a.m. the following day. We both nodded in agreement. My father murmured, "Thank God." We had prayed for a miracle during the entire journey. "Don't you need my parents' permission?" Susan inquired. Typically, that would be the case, but this morning we received a court order, courtesy of Mr. Carlson. It permits us to move forward if he or a relative proves to be a match. The judge concurred that your mother and her husband were not prioritizing your needs. As Dr. Proctor elaborated, Mr. Carlson will take care of all expenses that insurance does not cover. Sandra smiled. I expected nothing less. Sis. Given the actions of Mom and Arnold, Dad found himself with no options. Legally stripped of his rights, we turned to the courts to ensure there would be no delays. It was then that a security guard approached us, revealing that we were on the brink of making national news. Susan switched the TV to CNN, and there it was. My identity unveiled as the author of a beloved book series valued at around $40 million. Sandra, Susan, and the doctor were left in awe. My parents stared at me, their expressions a mix of disbelief and astonishment. They were completely unaware, believing I was merely an independent corporate financial advisor. "My God, Dad," Susan exclaimed, "I've read all your books. They are truly remarkable." I found myself laughing. Following the shattering of my previous existence, I was compelled to reshape my identity. Writing served as my sanctuary. The triumph of my debut book marked a pivotal moment, and from that point, it F. David Kingrished. I strive to keep my works relevant, unveiling the unvarnished reality of global issues, societal perspectives, and ethics, regardless of public opinion. After a long 15 years, I found myself checking into a hospital, accompanied by my mother. My newborn daughter wished to share a room with me, yet the hospital's security denied that request. Thus, Sandra spent the evening darting between 3 separate rooms while father reached out to some relatives to share the latest news. When Sharon and Arnold arrived after their workday, their displeasure was palpable. Their demeanor was met with an icy reception. Susan informed them that she was undergoing preparations for surgery and would be receiving a double bone marrow transplant the following morning, as mandated by a court order. "How?" Sharon inquired. "Mom, Arnold, my biological father, and his mother are all perfect matches," she replied. "Both are contributing, allowing me to receive a double dose and achieve a complete recovery," Susan remarked. "Mom, are you familiar with Jason Blackstone? He's your beloved author." Interestingly, Jason Blackstone is a pseudonym for Paul Earl Carlson, my biological father. Sharon and Arnold's faces drained of color. They had clung to the hope that the court case would fade away, but the revelation of Paul's net worth made it clear he was not motivated by financial gain. His pursuit was one of justice. Paul had always held a steadfast belief in law and order, a conviction that propelled him to success as an agent until the day of his dismissal. "Mom, did you know your father has been in FBI custody all day? You might want to check with Grandma to see if he's home. Can you explain why this is happening?" Susan inquired, her smile wide, as she and Sandra sought clarity. "Sandra is currently in the hospital, possibly in Dad's room or Grandma Patterson's if you're looking to find her. Earlier, Sandra and I were in my hospital room, engaged in a conversation about how she might approach her mother when Sharon unexpectedly appeared. Just then, a security guard knocked and peeked his head inside. Mr. Carlson, are you aware of what Jackie stuttered?" I replied, "Yes." He swung the door open, and in walked Jackie. For a decade, Jackie had been my steadfast companion. I stood by her side during the tumultuous time of her divorce, a painful chapter that unfolded when her husband fathered a child with his assistant. Now, at 35, she navigated the complexities of single motherhood, still adorned with the diamond from her wedding ring. My family and I cherished her deeply, and I frequently pondered the reasons behind her continued solitude. "What brings you here?" I inquired. "I'm here to fulfill my usual role," came the reply. "To look after you. Dr. Proctor mentioned that your stay would extend for at least 3 days and had a hunch you were a suitable match. Your arm will require a week to mend sufficiently for light activities." Jackie informed me that she arranged a private jet and a hotel using the corporate card. "Sandra sent me a message. Just so you know, she has deep feelings for you. She simply couldn't resist reaching out." I arched an eyebrow as the guard leaned in. "Sharon and Arnold Press are here to see you," he announced. "Will you permit them entry?" "Only after a thorough search," Jackie replied. "What is your connection to Mr. Carlson?" the security officer inquired. "I am his fiancée." "Didn't you notice my ring?" Jackie responded. Sandra shot me a knowing wink. "Told ya," I chuckled. As Sharon and Arnold made their entrance, Sandra chimed in. "Dad, I wouldn't trust these two for a second," she remarked. "They're merely attempting to safeguard their interests." "You're unaware of the full extent of it, Sandra," Jackie began. "Your father's lawyer possesses video evidence of your stepfather accepting a check from your grandfather as compensation for dismantling your parents' marriage," If he succeeds, he will oversee your grandparents' finances for a 3% annual fee. How can you be sure of this? Sharon inquired. And who exactly are you? Mom. She's Dad's fiancée and an expert in research. Her name is Ava Harper. I have more faith in her than in you, Sandra declared with conviction. Sharon's complexion drained of color. Her daughters were pulling away from her, and she felt powerless to change it. Jackie speaks the truth, Sharon. I clarified. I instructed my lawyer to hand over all video and audio recordings to the FBI, along with a letter from your father confessing to financing the tapes. His animosity towards me was so intense that he disregarded the expense and the means he employed to achieve his desires. Is this accurate? Sharon inquired of Arnold. In that moment, as she gazed upon his expression, the truth dawned on her. Sharon came to understand the depth of her loss following the divorce, the only man who had ever truly loved her. Jackie, heed this counsel. Guard against the influence of others as I once did. Paul, I wish to speak with you privately following the surgery. At this moment, I feel the urge to return home and ponder. Sandra, would you accompany me to my car? Sharon inquired. Sandra replied, I'll return shortly. My mother and I have some matters to discuss. Jackie, please keep an eye on Dad until I get back. We observed them as they departed. Sharon maintained her composure until she stepped outside, at which point the tears began to flow. Both Jackie and I recognized that she was completely unaware of the events that had transpired up to that moment. Arnold, who had always lived a life of privilege, found himself immobilized by fear. The truth had emerged, leaving their lives in ruins. Sharon's trust in him was irrevocably broken. Paul, I had feared this day would come. I had begun to believe you would never come back. If our paths had crossed by chance, I might have been able to dismiss it, Arnold remarked. I never envisioned this unfolding. It seems prudent for me to take my leave and refrain from further words. He departed, leaving us in solitude. I turned my gaze to Jackie. Witnessing her cheeks flush for the very first time, I gazed at her with the intensity that only love can inspire. For the first time, I was allowing myself to be vulnerable. Was she toying with my heart? Was she on the verge of revealing her genuine emotions? Did my affection for her transcend friendship? Regardless, my daughters had stirred something profound within me, and I had been existing in the periphery of others' lives, deriving pleasure from their enthusiasm rather than forging my own path. Jackie, there's much we need to explore during my recovery, I said gently. The past few days have stirred something within me. I found myself growing complacent, choosing the comfort of the sidelines over the thrill of the game. Paul, during my divorce, you were there for me. My children were still so young then. Your presence in their lives has eclipsed that of their biological father. From the thrill of baseball games to the cherished moments of father-daughter dances, you were a constant figure. I understand the reason behind your generous compensation, surpassing the typical rate. Jackie expressed a desire to guarantee that the children cherished in your heart receive the care they deserve. Each birthday, you went above and beyond, crafting celebrations that made them the envy of their peers. Throughout summer breaks, you whisked us away on extraordinary adventures, weaving memories that would last a lifetime. You respond to their inquiries with the care and guidance of a devoted father. They hold you in high regard, and your affection for them is undeniable. Yet, you grapple with an underlying fear of commitment. That I attempted to voice my thoughts, yet silence enveloped me. Jackie was indeed correct, and her words struck me with a profound impact. The same could be said for Sandra's words. I approached Jackie and settled beside her, gently taking her hand in mine. As I gazed into her eyes, I collected my thoughts. Sharon had betrayed me. The authority of her father loomed over me, casting a shadow of intimidation. The sting of betrayal from my closest friend cut deep. Each day, I navigated a landscape fraught with the ever-present specter of danger to my life. I found myself in a state of self-preservation. Just a few days ago, I was unaware of it. Now that the truth has dawned on me, I wonder, can we embark on our first real date? Or have the sands of time slipped away for us? Took you long enough, you old fool? Jackie remarked before pressing her lips to mine. I'm sending a message to our kids to let them know we're officially a couple and sorting things out. Pretty sure of yourself? I replied. I reached out to Sandra, expressing my gratitude and inquiring about her well-being. She replied, revealing that Mom was unaware she's struggling with it. She won't return this evening. Please inform Susan. Jackie and I ascended to Susan's room. After presenting Jackie as my girlfriend, we recounted the events of earlier and revealed Sandra's text. Just as we concluded, my sister Olivia Reed made her entrance. I simply had to meet her, Olivia Reed declared. Jackie, what brings you here? I have something to say. Yet, Barb had already pieced it together. He finally caught on. Didn't he? She remarked with a smile. Took him long enough. Susan, this is your Aunt Olivia Reed, and the man stepping in is your Uncle David King, Olivia Reed's husband, I explained. Before long, you'll discover that we are unreserved in our expressions, whether it pleases you or not. I took my leave and made my way to the nurse's station, sending a text to Sandra inquiring about Susan's pizza preferences. Her response indicated that Susan enjoys all toppings except for anchovies. I placed an order for 3 extra-large pizzas and 3 2-liter colas, requesting a swift delivery. I also reached out to Dad, asking him to bring Mom over in half an hour for a pizza party. We decided to bend the no-eating for 8 hours rule, but excitement got the better of us. The head nurse entered to soothe our anxieties but departed with a slice of pizza in hand. Later, she paused to speak with me, saying, "Your actions have brightened the spirits of the entire floor. I can't express my gratitude enough." In the stillness of 4 a.m., my mother and I were ushered into the realm of preparation for the operation. We leaned on one another, a silent pact of support, until the moment arrived when we were wheeled away. I fought to remain awake, clinging to consciousness until the medication finally enveloped me. Upon awakening, I found that it was complete. What lay ahead was a period of waiting and fervent prayer. Dr. Proctor announced to all that the bone marrow transfer had been successful, yet it would require several hours to determine if it had taken hold. Indeed, it did. Upon hearing this, the majority of the family began to ready themselves for the journey home. Jackie, I remarked, is truly the most challenging patient one could encounter. But I'm not unwell, I countered. You're akin to a bull in a china shop, restless, unruly, and discontented. Continue down this path, and you'll earn a tarnished reputation, Jackie warned me. Jackie informed me that my mother was faring well. Once she was confident in my stability, she returned my phone. The initial messages that greeted me were from Jackie's children, both inquiring, when does she receive her engagement ring? Dad, when will we meet our new sisters? I remarked to Jackie, your kids are quite perceptive. As I displayed the phone to her, I informed them of my arrival in Oswego to keep an eye on you. Following the operation, a flurry of inquiries emerged, and the entire narrative unfolded. They were not taken aback. They said, "Mom? He's always treated us like his own. Most of our friends wish their dads were like him. We've always seen him as our dad," Jackie explained. She read the note, her gaze meeting mine, glistening with unshed tears. "I suppose our engagement will be brief," I remarked, a smile playing on my lips. "Have you heard from the twins? Sandra and her mother are with Susan. She is faring well, all things considered. Despite still being on medication, she is inquiring quite a bit," Jackie revealed. Sandra informed her about the upcoming pizza party. Susan is captivated by the striking resemblance she shares with her aunt and grandmother. The anticipation of a girls' day out with them fills her with excitement as she looks forward to her recovery. Now, where are my pants? I felt an overwhelming urge to see her for myself, to check on Mom. The nurses attempted to dissuade me, cautioning that it was too soon after the surgery, but my resolve was unyielding. And so, hand in hand, we ventured forth. To my astonishment, the pain was within my grasp. Jackie and I observed Susan's transformation without delay. Her skin radiated health, and the glimmer in her eyes nearly moved me to tears. "Who are Tammy and Timothy Stoddard?" Sandra inquired. "My children, ages 13 and 11. Why do you ask?" Jackie responded. "This morning I received a Facebook friend request from them. Susan did too, Sandra mentioned. You both should take a look at what they sent me, I said, passing my phone to Sandra. She read it, a smile gracing her lips, before handing it over to Susan. I'd like this back to add their phone numbers to my contacts, I mentioned. Sharon then inquired if we could speak privately, prompting us to retreat to the waiting room. Paul, I engaged in a lengthy conversation with my mother last night. She acknowledged recalling Dad's animosity towards you, yet she never anticipated this turn of events. My daughters wish to complete the school year here before moving in with you. They desire to adopt your last name and believe that what Arnold and I did is beyond forgiveness, Sharon revealed. I find myself unable to contest their stance. They've made it evident that they will pursue legal action should I decline. Trust has slipped through their fingers and I find it hard to fault them for it. Will you permit their arrival? You are familiar with my family. They would never allow me to decline. Regardless of my own sentiments, I'm more than happy to accept them. Jackie feels the same way. Will simply require a larger space that I will withdraw the lawsuit against you if you consent to joint custody, I stated. However, the case will proceed against the remainder of your family. The twins are mature enough to make their own decisions regarding the matter. Sharon consented to the arrangement of joint custody. I proposed covering the costs for their name change, yet she politely declined. Together, we made our way back into Susan's room. The girls observed us with keen interest. Jackie, it seems we'll require a house with at least 6 bedrooms, I remarked. Jackie beamed, and the girls erupted in joyous cheers. Sharon announced, "Girls, your father and I are in agreement. Your wishes will be granted, provided Jackie consents. I will reach out to the lawyer tomorrow to initiate the legal proceedings for your name change." "Paul," Jackie asked, "are you ready for this? A house filled with teenage kids. The truth is, no one is ever truly prepared, but we learn to adapt." "I'm still coming to terms with the thought of 2 carrying my name," I replied. "Make that 4. Tam and Tim are eager for you to adopt them. They've even begun signing their names as Carlson." Jackie suggested reaching out to Roger Mauser's firm to initiate the paperwork. Following that, we should message the kids to inform them of our plans. It would be wise to investigate which area boasts the finest schools, guiding us in our search for a new home. Sandra lifted her phone, navigated to her contacts, and initiated a call on speaker. "Hello," came Tammy's voice. "Who are you and what do you want?" "This is Sandra, your soon-to-be older sister." "Is Timothy with you?" Sandra inquired. "Can you prove it?" Tammy replied, "Because I can't. Dad taught us not to take calls or messages from unknown sources without proof." "Are you really trying to pull a fast one on me?" "Tammy, Paul, and I are tying the knot," Jackie mentioned. "You were in conversation with Paul's daughter, Sandra. Soon, we'll all share the Carlson name. Susan and I are in the midst of changing our last name, and your dad and I have initiated the process for him to adopt you, which will also mean changing your name to Carlson," Sandra added. "How lovely. Be sure to tell Dad that it's about time." "How is Susan?" Timothy inquired. "We've been waiting to hear." Jackie and I shared a glance, observing the inaugural dialogue of our newly formed family. She clasped my hand reassuringly. "I am making progress," Susan remarked. "Everything is going well so far. I will send you both a message so you can save my number." "Susan, Sandra, our dad is the only father we have ever known. Our biological father left before we had the chance to know him. Your father has surpassed any of our friends' parents in every way. Mother has cherished him for quite some time. When we gather, it is essential for you to embrace the fact that we are all siblings. Nothing more, nothing less. Tammy and I will ensure that nothing stands in their way," Timothy declared with conviction. My daughters nodded in agreement. Jackie, her eyes brimming with tears, spoke up. "Your morals and standards are on display. You ought to feel a sense of pride that they embraced your values." I certainly did. We bid farewell for the time being and made our way to visit my mother. Dad was there with her when we entered, catching them off guard. A glance from Jackie caught my dad's attention, and it brought a smile to his face. He sensed that something was amiss. "Mom," I remarked, "you're already up and about. Have you seen Susan? What does she look like?" Her complexion seems to be improving, and her spirits are lifted. It's promising, but it's still too early to draw conclusions, I replied. We should have a serious conversation if you both have the time. We're here to stay. Now let's dive in. My father replied. Susan and Sandra will be moving in with me once the school year concludes. I mentioned that they would adopt our last name. Sharon consented to the joint custody arrangement, and the name change. It was the twins' brilliant idea. That's wonderful, both my parents exclaimed. But that's not all, Jackie interjected. Your son has chosen to make an honest woman of me. Elizabeth, are you prepared to assist in planning a wedding? My mother became teary-eyed, while my father wore a broad smile. Their approval was unspoken yet clear. We were aware. I will be welcoming Tammy and Timothy into my family, and they will bear my last name. Additionally, Jackie and I will embark on our house hunting journey as soon as we return, I added. What pulled your head out of the sand? My dad inquired. We were all aware of the tension between you two. I've been working on gaining your mother's approval to set you straight. Earl Carlson, please conduct yourself appropriately. This is not the yard where you sell cars, as your mother pointed out. Jackie, have you given any thought to your wedding plans? We haven't delved into it extensively, but considering we are merging 3 families, it ought to be a celebration for all. Barb will take on the role of my maid of honor, while David King Paul will have his best man by his side. His brothers-in-law will serve as ushers, and Susan and Sandra will grace the occasion as bridesmaids. Tammy will be the flower girl, and Timothy will carry the rings. Dad, will you walk me down the aisle? Jackie asked with a smile. That depends on who's footing the bill and whether the 19th hole has a good supply of Jack Daniels, he replied. With a chuckle, Dad responded. What do you think, Paul? Jackie inquired. It's perfect, he declared. It shall bring us together. If that is your desire, let us proceed, I responded. Should we extend an invitation to Sharon? Both of my parents resolutely declined. Mom, Dad, in the coming weeks the media will unveil much. I am taking legal action against the federal government, Sharon's parents, and her husband. I hold the conviction that Sharon endured as much pain as I did. Years ago, I bore the burden of my choices, and now Sharon finds herself ensnared in a web of consequences we can scarcely fathom. She believes her daughters are lost to her for eternity, I conveyed. Extending an invitation could be the key for the twins and her to rebuild their bond and transcend the shadows of the past. Jackie and my parents regarded me with a sense of wonder. Where did that wisdom come from? My father inquired earnestly. These last few days have imparted much to me, I responded, grasping Jackie's hand. Sandra's presence rekindled my appreciation for life. We made our way back to my room, and soon I succumbed to sleep, weary from the surgery. Jackie remained close, her eyes fixed on the news as I drifted off. Christopher McCormick and Arnold Press found themselves in handcuffs, ensnared by the web of deceit they wove while lying to the FBI. Meanwhile, the individual orchestrating the contract on my life chose to turn state's evidence, shifting the balance of power. In the wake of these revelations, my lawyer unveiled the circumstances surrounding my dismissal from the FBI, setting in motion an internal review that would scrutinize the events that led to my downfall. Upon waking, Jackie shared the news with me. Dr. Proctor had conveyed that my mother and I were set to be discharged the following day. You'll require follow-ups and the removal of your stitches, he mentioned. Susan is faring better than anticipated. The pressing question remains how she will react as she gradually reduces her medication. We spoke with my parents, who have chosen to stay in the city until Susan is well on her way to recovery. They would return with us on the private plane. Dad secured a reservation at the same hotel as Jackie, and the bus driver was directed to take us back. In the days that followed, the media unveiled the betrayal, treachery, and political maneuvers that shattered my marriage and career. They devoted an entire day to unraveling the ways in which Sharon's father had twisted her perception, leading her to embrace the rumors and falsehoods. Sharon became the subject of public scrutiny, laid bare for all to see. Jackie and I were on our way to pay Susan one final visit before returning home. Dr. Proctor had confidently proclaimed that she was on the path to a complete recovery. It seemed that someone took issue with the unfavorable coverage regarding the Fed's previous interactions with me, as the security release my publisher and I had been anticipating was finally approved. More than 1 million hard copies would hit the market in just 2 weeks. 2 first editions arrived at my doorstep, delivered overnight. Once I signed them, Jackie carefully wrapped them, and we concealed them in a shopping bag. We ensured that Sandra would be present when we stepped into Susan's room. Jackie shared the exciting news that she and her dad have chosen the first weekend in August for the wedding. Aunt Olivia Reed will take on the role of maid of honor, and Jackie is curious if you both would be willing to be her bridesmaids. Susan exclaimed, "Hell yes, Jackie." When I first walked into Dad's office, I was scared stiff. You recognized me immediately and said, "You're Sharon's daughter? How are we going to handle this?" It stunned me. You accepted me from day one. I would be honored to stand by your side in your wedding party, provided I can call you Mom. Witnessing the three of them embrace was a heartwarming sight. It was truly delightful to see Susan spring out of bed with such enthusiasm as the dust settled. I revealed the gifts, presenting each of them with a signed first edition of my book. I inscribed it with a heartfelt message. To one of the 2 prettiest ladies who call me Dad, with love, Jason Blackstone or Paul Earl Carlson. Susan's joy was palpable as she unwrapped it, her excitement matching the magnitude of the book itself. My largest work to date, spanning over 600 pages, her face radiated with pride, aware that it had yet to be unveiled. She opened the cover, caught sight of my note, and then completely unraveled. "Dad, you've accomplished so much already. I didn't need this," she sobbed, rushing into my embrace. "Before you entered my life, the hospital staff told me I had only a few days left." Sandra understood it as well. Uncertain of her motives for venturing into the attic, I find solace in the outcome, for it led us to you. She enveloped me in a warm embrace, while Sandra observed our moment for a brief spell. "Dad, this is something you ought to be aware of. Dr. Proctor is convinced that a single transplant would have been futile for Susan. It was the double transplant that jolted her body into action. Over the past 6 days, as Sandra noted, she has gained 10 pounds. Your arrival was uncertain in my mind, yet you came without a moment's pause. You brought along a community. Thanks to this family, I am reclaiming my best friend. How's your mom holding up?" I inquired, attempting to shift the atmosphere. "She's filed for divorce and is attending therapy to confront a lifetime of deception. Now she comprehends what you endured and feels a deep sense of shame," Susan replied. She asserts that only those who have endured it can truly grasp the reality of a living hell. Her work and friends serve as her pillars of support. Her mother is resilient and will persevere through it all. Gaining her trust once more will be paramount. At this moment, she finds herself adrift, uncertain of whom or what to believe. Even with the unwavering support of family, the journey to rebuild trust can stretch over years. An unforeseen leap of faith is necessary. In my case, it was Sandra stepping into my office, and I couldn't help but express my gratitude. "Thank God you did." Paul had me convinced I would spend my days as an old maid. Waiting for him, Jackie remarked with a playful laugh. "Now, girls, gather around your father so I can snap a few pictures. The finest one will be an 8x10 for his desk." As we disembarked from the plane, we were met with the delightful surprise of Jackie's parents and children waiting to welcome us. The sheer enthusiasm of the kids nearly sent me tumbling, their joy infectious and enveloping us all. My father relished the sound of their voices calling me Dad. I came to understand that Timothy would have 2 older sisters and 1 younger, mirroring my own experience. Tammy embraced my mother and expressed her joy, saying, "I'm glad you're becoming my grandmother." I pondered the swift transformations in my life, filled with unforeseen blessings. Jackie and I chose to postpone our plans from before Sandra's arrival until after the wedding. Aware of our requirements, Jackie took the reins in the search for a new home. This afforded me the opportunity to immerse myself in writing my debut fiction book. My earlier endeavors unveiled the shadows of corruption and the veils of cover-ups. We maintained our connection with the twins, and Jackie discovered a 20-acre parcel of land, complete with a barn in need of restoration. Meanwhile, Susan was making strides in her recovery and resumed her studies on a part-time basis. We engaged a firm to craft our home, utilizing steel and brick, complete with an outdoor kitchen, expansive patio, pool, and a 4-bay garage. With Jackie's reduced office hours, I found the opportunity to delve deeper into my work, aided by an editor from my publisher. I penned over 300 pages, culminating in the publication of my first book under my true name. Sharon enlisted my lawyer to navigate her divorce from Arnold, successfully obtaining alimony and coverage for education expenses. My own cases lingered in mediation, as the opposing sides seemed to have lost their resolve. Meanwhile, Tammy, Timothy, Jackie, and I eagerly anticipated the twins' arrival following their final day of school. Timothy spotted them approaching our newly paved driveway. We all ventured outside to welcome them. As they emerged from the Explorer, it struck me how astonishing Susan's recovery had been. I could hardly distinguish her from Sandra. Jackie leaned in and whispered, "We'll figure it out." Timothy, embracing his role as the protective big brother, hefted their luggage while Jackie proudly guided him through the house. In my office, 3 copies of my latest book, Unexpected Blessings, rested on my desk, a testament to my recent endeavors. It was a tale woven from the threads of our imagination. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to our channel for more exciting content. Your support means the world to us, and by subscribing, you'll never miss an update. Join our community and be part of the conversation. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. We love hearing from you.